Spencer, and welcome back to Stitch and Spencer, where I talk about all of the cross-stitch projects I've been working on and some of the other crafty things I do. Today that I am filming, it is currently March 31st. The last time that I filmed a floss tube was January 21st, so it's been a bit. Thank you to everyone who has already subscribed and may be coming back to actually catch up to this video, and hello to anybody who's finding me for the first time. I got lots to talk about, lots to show you. We'll see what happens with everything that we've got going on here. Most everything is pretty standard compared to my other ones. My husband's here. He's being very polite and playing very quietly so I could get this recorded. Normally he likes to game with his friends on the weekends, so it's really nice that he took some time away from that to sit out of frame and play things with no sound. So we'll get started, actually. My plan is to kind of just go through the things that I've worked on since that last floss tube in the, mid-late January. I did have 3 finishes since then, but since I'm going to go through the order that I kind of did work on things, I'm going to wait to show you them until we get to where they're at. So I plan on jumping right in with just the stuff that I worked on for the rest of January, and then chatting about how everything was going. So the first thing that I worked on after the last floss tube filmed was actually the Father Christmas stocking. I'll pop up a quick photo of the reference image for what it's going to look like when it's finished, and where I was at last video. I was specifically working on this project to try to finish up. That was one of my January WIPGO goals, was to go ahead and get most of the greenery and the berries done at both the top and the bottom. And I did, in fact, successfully complete that goal. So, don't mind my jitters while I remember how to hold these things in frame. As you can see, we did successfully finish these lovely little pieces of greenery all the way down here. We finished up the berries. They look real sharp. Love the way that they look. And then the top, same thing. We got all of the greenery done on both sides. We got those tiny little red berries right in the center, and then those big, I think they're sugar plums would be my guess. They don't tell you in these kits. So that is where we're sitting. I successfully completed that January WIPGO goal actually in the month of January, although my board, my rules, I'm giving myself grace to just try to complete all of the goals by the end of the year. So really excited about this. We'll talk about it more in plans, but I will be bringing it back out in April. Hopefully it did get pulled for the second time this year for April's WIPGO numbers. See, told you I was out of practice. Father Christmas, this is a stocking kit. It's printed, it's needlepoint. It was created by Busella, we think. And in January, I put in a total of 2,091. These are, because it's needlepoint, they're half stitches. So that's what I got done in January. Like I said, I'll pull it back out when we talk about plans, since its second WIPGO number did get called for April. So that was the first thing that I worked on end of January. The next thing that I worked on end of January was actually the Thomas Kincaid Little Mermaid kit. I do have paper notes, so I'm going to be rustling back and forth as I flip to those. I will, as I discuss, pop up both the finished photo, if I have it, along with where things were when I left off at the last video. If I didn't work on it in the last video, the last time you saw it would have been my whip parade, and that'll be where those photos will be from. This project is it's artwork by Thomas Kincaid. It is the Disney Dreams collection that was charted by MCG Textiles. That company no longer exists. All of these charts are no longer being produced. This is the Little Mermaid piece. I specifically bought it when they were still easily available in stores, with the intention of making it for my little sister. She always loved the Little Mermaid growing up. So one day maybe I'll actually finish this ginormous piece. It is stitched on kit Aida. It is stitched with kit Floss. The Aida is an 18 count Aida. I'm going to pull it up in my notions actually because I wanted to mention the total number of stitches and I forgot to write that down. I just pulled this out in January. I'm pretty sure that I just had a fandom stitching prompt that it fit, or because fandom stitching this year is Disney, it's Disney, and it would have met any goal with that. By the end of January, I actually had a pretty successful January. I had completed all my Whip Go goals. I was just, stitching pretty regularly, and I had time. So this is what I worked on. So here is where we are at. Sorry about the tilting. Most of what I work on, I did start this as a center start initially. That's why Flounder's taken care of right there in the center. But then I learned about gridding and I got worried about this piece. The company, before they closed, was known for having some issues with their production and with their kits. People would, be missing floss colors. They'd get the wrong patterns. The fabric would not be cut very well. And in that situation, that's very evident here. My gridding, I had to remove tape at the bottom to get my grids far enough down to make sure that everything was good. It's an unevenly cut piece, so I was really worried after I center started by just, folding and starting in the center that I actually was going to run out of room. Plus I was researching, parking techniques and how to approach a full coverage and starting in the top left corner. It's looking really nice. I do really like how it looks, but that's why we've got this awkward disparity. I don't have a lot of full coverage pieces, and I have yet to figure out how I like to stitch full coverage pieces. I'm not opposed to parking, but I tend to cross country with the thread I have after I finish whatever section I'm working on. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens. I'll give you some stats while I go ahead and fold this up. Oh, there we go. I did get just 328 stitches on that in the month of January, which was 0.5%. Yeah, 0.5% less than one for that month, which brings my total on that entire project up to 4,022 stitches, or 6.6% complete. So that is where I am. I mentioned that it's kit everything. I did not mention it is 2 strands over one. It's Aida. There's some blends, all of that stuff. So just figuring out where I want to stack things when I'm finished. Told you I was out of practice. So yeah, that was my progress on the Little Mermaid. The only other thing that I worked on in January was the Taylor and Cromwell board game stitch along. So give me a second to get to that page. Excellent. This was a new start for me in January. As I mentioned, designed by Taylor and Cromwell. For those of you who are returning viewers, especially if you watched my Whip Parade, you will know how much I adore these designers. I like the subject matter that they tend to be designing. I like their style. I just adore so many of their things. I've got some projects that I haven't even started by them. I've got a ton of projects in my Whip pile that are by them. So highly recommend you check out their store. Not only, I'll bring this other thing up later. So I have this new start. It's the board game stitch along. I will pop up some photos while I'm talking. I don't have any progress. I don't have any progress photos. Like I said, this is a new start for me that I started in January. The outline, which I will be popping up, is just a black border. It's shaped like Catan tiles. like a Catan board where you put all the tiles in. So I'm working on that part. That's all the progress that you're going to see today. But while I'm chatting about it, because I'm behind in this stitch along, as I always am, I will also be popping up the first 3 tiles which have been released. The way that this stitch along works is that after you finish with the outline, or enough of the outline that you're comfortable to start placing tiles, you put the center tile in. It's not themed like a board game. It's game night themed. Again, I will be popping up the edges, the photos of those. And then after you stitch that center tile, you can place all of the other board game tiles wherever you like. Kind of just like a Catan board. You start with the desert in the center for traditional games, and then you place all of the other tiles randomly to play the game. So all I have is border. It looks like this, featuring the cute little needle minder that I got from StitchCon last year. They were passing out Scrabble tiles, needle minders. A lot of people grabbed the letters of their first name. My middle name is Elizabeth, so I grabbed the E. So I was pretty happy about that. And as you can see, I do not have very much done. This fabric was created by Witch's Garden Crafts for this stitch along. I apologize that my camera and my lighting kind of washes this out. It's not quite as teal as it looks. It's more of a sky blue. I may have better photos on my Instagram. For those who don't know, you can find me on Instagram, same name, Stitch and Spencer. I post on my Instagram what I stitch when I stitch, so I try to, at least within 24 hours of completing a portion, post what I did. Anyways, created by Witch's Gardens Craft for this stitch along. So this is the board game stitch along coloring, and it was specifically made to be darker along the edges, and then because it's like made to be this big circular piece, lighter in the center, which is really nice to really show off those stitching. Center start because wanted to make sure that it seemed centered in the fabric, also because that center tile will be first, and I could start stitching it now if I wanted to. This is a 28 count Ada. I am stitching it 2/2 with the called for DMC, except I'm pretty sure that I'm doing the black 3/2 for the outline right now, because I really wanted it to be dark and very there and not have any of the Ada showing through. And most of us who have been stitching for a while know that DMC black sometimes can get a little patchy, which I don't mind in most situations, but in this situation I really wanted to be sure that it was dark. So stats for this, I put in 482 stitches in the month of January, which for the border is 10.6% complete, and that was done over a total of 3 days. I use the Notions app to track my stitching, so that's where all of these stats come from. I don't, as much as I think that the people who do all of those numbers in their head are really cool, like they do it with pen and paper and all of that stuff, that's fantastic, love that for them. I don't, but since I was taking notes for this floss tube, I figured I would go ahead and write them down, because they're there in that lovely Notions template by Stitching Nutty. So that is my progress on the board game stitch along, just frame. I will probably complete the frame before I start putting pieces, and I may work on the center, but because we get to place the tiles wherever we want, I'm probably going to wait until we get more tiles. Plus I'm always behind, and that's just going to be my excuse. My husband and I love to play board games, so I'm really looking forward to doing that. He's going to help me figure out kind of what order I need to place where we want to put the things. The other thing I did want to show off for this project, and I forgot to grab earlier, this is the color palette for this board game stitch along. Don't mind that I, put all of my thread into braids so that way it wouldn't get tangled as it's sitting in my bag, especially as I'm not really working on anything but the black right now. I really do like a majority of their color palettes. Taylor and Cromwell uses some really beautiful colors. They like to use the newer colors of DMC, which is really cool. I actually had a majority of these things in stash because of the other Taylor and Cromwell patterns I have. But they tried really hard to keep board game colors close to the original color palettes. So the color list for this project is somewhat insane, but I think it's really cool. So yeah, that wraps up the end of my January stitching. But as you know, or may have listened, it's March 31st when I'm filming today. So there's a lot more that's happened since then. Although I will say I had a very productive stitching month in January, not so much in February. It was a little rough. But let's go ahead and jump in to where my next stitchy thing that I worked on was. So for February, I worked on the Grim Grinning Ghost Stitch Along primarily. That's mostly what I worked on for the entire month. I am not typically a monogamous stitcher, but I'm playing Whip Go, and my Whip Go goal for this month was a little bit bigger than I realized. Grim Grinning Ghost Sal. I do not have any mock-ups of the end of the project because I'd have to be taking something that somebody else finished, and I just haven't asked anybody for permission for that type of thing. But I will be definitely putting out photos of where I was the last time you saw it. This is a free stitch along that was held in Facebook. It was designed by Katura Farnham. She goes by Kitty a lot of times. You can find her at Supernatural Stitchies. I think her Facebook group is called Supernatural Stitchies, and she is Supernatural Stitchies on Instagram. And then the group, because it was a fun, free stitch along group, a lot of people would like tweak the design and then upload their designs, and then you could kind of sort of do what you wanted here and there. Some people just did the main elements of the room. Other people did backgrounds. Some people like tweaked so the backgrounds were more, there were more design elements in the backgrounds rather than just a solid color. It's super fun. I love it. And this project has been finished for forever. All of the rooms have been released forever ago, and I'm just slowly working my way through, which is why my Whip Go goal for this was to get at least half of a room finished. And I was like, that seems reasonable. That can't be that bad. Like, they're just these little rectangles. I didn't look at the number of stitches that would be. I didn't count what the area is because I do typically do these full coverage. I don't just leave the background open. This month's room that I focused on actually did have a lot of background open, which gave me some grace because it meant that the total amount of stitches that I had to put in was just like about 1,000. And for me, that was a lot, especially because February was not a big stitching month for me. But this is, okay, let's even her up. Okay, that is the whole project right now. This is 36 count linen. It's called Dark Storm Cloud. I got it from an Etsy store called To Die For Fabrics and More. I am stitching this 2/1 with DMCs, with the called for DMCs / if I really want to change something, pulling out a stash. Mostly. Some things are 1/1, specifically right now, just that little tiny plaque. I did do 1/1. I am going to scooch this closer so we can focus in on that lovely room that I worked on. So I was finishing up room 4, which is, nope, not this side. It's this side over here with this lovely little, kind of zombie thing, this cute little butler. It's, I think, the conservatory, technically, when people were discussing what it was called. So this is based off of the original design by Kitty, and then some of the extra, scooched around designs with extra elements, I think, by, someone. This is still missing the back stitching. I have not gone back and back stitched it. I do typically outline the people. You can kind of see that in my other rooms with just like a single strand black, to make sure that things pop when they need to. And there's some like spider webby things, but when I tell you that I spent almost the entire month of February on this, I'm not joking. I did not have a lot of stitching time in February, and I put 1,051 stitches into this project in the month of February. So by the time I met that whip go goal, I was over it and it needed to be put away. This is very dark linen. I love it. It's beautiful, but it is hard to stitch on, especially without a very good light. And I've got a good light, but my couch isn't always comfy. So then it's kind of like where I want to sit isn't where the light is. And then like I've got a little stand light, but I don't have anywhere to put it. It was a whole thing. But so I finished that entire room. Go me. I have no idea when I'll get this out again. I actually, until this moment, had forgotten that I still need to backstitch that room. So we'll see about that. Good news though, met my February whip go goal. That was the only February whip go goal that I met during the month of February, but that's okay because it's my board, my rules. And I did catch up, which is the fun, exciting part. I mean, I know I said that I would film once a month, and I would like to try to get back to that. But this is part of the reason that I didn't film in February. I did almost nothing. I felt guilty about doing almost nothing. And also I had no time. That's part of why I wasn't stitching. So I would have had the little bit, like up until this point, like this is what I would have been able to show you. Which is not a bad video, but I was like, I did so many things on this. I probably could have told you how many days this was. Actually, let me see if that's in my notions while I go ahead and put this away. Oh. There it is. It doesn't have the cover photo on my notions because I don't have an ending photo, so I don't have that noted. February that I did total of 8 days. 8 days in 2024. I think that was all in the month of February. Yeah. So I got that 1,000 stitches in 8 days. As I said, I'm not a fast stitcher most of the time. February was rough. But it looks real cool. Definitely having a great time. Sorry about that. Next. Ooh, now we get to the fun part, okay? Remember how I mentioned I have finishes? Oh boy, do I have finishes. The next thing that I started working on, I actually started working on in the month of February, and then went ahead and finished it in March. And this is where I said that not only did I catch up on Whip Go, but I kind of sort of got ahead. This is my cute little tiny pumpkin frog. Let me go ahead and grab my board. Ooh, that's my pumpkin frog. I went ahead and finished up all of the stitching on this little thing. Ooh. Okay, so this is technically called Surprise Pumpkin Frog. It's by Cute Patterns by Maria on Etsy. I am stitching it, in case you can't tell, this is wood. It is laser cut wood probably, which I also got on Etsy. I got it by Fior Designs LLC. This one's specifically stained black. This is the big one. I did do a project on the small circles too. So I've got both of those. I used the called for DMC, and I stitched 2 over 1, as one has to, because it's wood. I mean, I could have gone over 2, but then it would have not fit. In February, I put in 198 stitches, and then in March, I put in another 312, which was a total of 500 stitches over 5 days, and that is what brought me to completion. I started this project in October. I started it on October 7th of 2023, and then finished it March 3rd of 2024. I ended up completing a total of 26.5% of it in 2024. So I came in with almost 75% of it complete. This project is a total of 1,927 stitches. I love it. It's adorable. I just need to fully finish it, and all I'm doing to fully finish it is gluing black felt to the back of it, so that way I don't have to deal with this whole Oh, look, you can see my face through it. So I did that. I loved that. Super excited. It looks great. I cannot wait to fully finish it. And then I've got these. Whoop. Got these cute little stands that I got from the person on Etsy who makes the little frame, makes the wood stuff. So it'll sit in these cute little frames, which I'm very excited about. So yeah, first finish of the year. No back stitching required. Just need to fully finish it. And that is a whip go. It is finishing and fully finishing this is on my whip go board still. I have not marked it as complete yet because I have not fully finished it. And I'm not specifically waiting until it gets called to fully finish it. I just haven't gotten around to fully finishing it. I'm hoping next week or next weekend, maybe I'll do that. So I'm technically one ahead because I just wanted to get this done. So that was very exciting. Got a whole finish. And then, I don't know, decided to stick with my finishing. It wasn't on purpose. It just conveniently happened that way. I also finished out this cute, tiny little stamp. Make the camera focus on it and not me. We'll see. I'll get my little board out if I need to. Boop-a-doop-boo. That's all right. This is a cute tiny little stamp. The name of it, I think by the designer, is technically called Funny Halloween. There we go. Focuses a lot better. And I get my face out of there. Hopefully, if I haven't already, I'll be popping up photos of where it was the last time you saw it. You don't need to see what it's supposed to look like, because look, it looks like this. It's super cute. I love it. I guess I can give you some info about it. Well, you can keep looking at how cute it is. Bought the patterns and actually the stamp cutouts by an Etsy user called Sweet Annette. I used all of the called for colors, stitched it 2/1. I put in 550 stitches on this project in the month of March, which was a total of 46.3% over 5 days. This project is 1,189 stitches total. I started at October 22nd, 2023, and I finished at March 9th of 2024. I have another whole pile of stamps, so I'm just going to have to decide when to start sometime soon. Yeah, I'll have to see which one I'm going to start. I'll probably make my husband pick one. When I can't decide on anything and I don't want to make a decision wheel, he decides for me. It's really nice. These come with tiny little felt backs from the person when I bought the actual wood cutouts. They sent me felt backs that match the stamps perfectly. So same thing, I just need to fully finish this by putting a little bit of glue and that little felt back on. So there'll be Funny Halloween. Mild bane of my existence. I did break 4 needles in the process of finishing this project. I only used, like I said, 2/1. It was perfect coverage. It was great for the stitching. The back stitching is what killed my needles. It was trying to get my needle back through after I already had all 8 strands going into a hole. And then sometimes, especially as I was trying to get 2 strands of back stitching around something or back through a hole that I already had, the 8 strands already there. And in my effort to push things through, I kept bending the eyes of the needle rather than pushing straight with enough force to get it to go where I needed to. Floss. Very excited. Looks fantastic. Can't wait to do another one. And then I decided that perhaps I should actually work on one of my WhipGo calls for the month of March. There's a slight chance that at this point I hadn't even looked at what WhipGo calls were for the month of March, or reminded myself what they were, because like I said, February was crazy, and then I rolled into March wanting to finish the pumpkin frog and then working on other stuff. I was working in my fandom challenge group, conveniently the monthly challenge, because I just wasn't feeling up to the weekly challenges. Was actually for the entire month of February and March, so I could roll them over too. It was perfect for where I was at. So I was kind of working to fill some of those challenges and put stitches in towards the yearly challenges because weekly ones can't double dip there. Anyways, I finally decided to work on a project that was WIPGO called, and it also was a finish. Now, the WIPGO goal for this was a finish, so it wasn't just, oh, I decided to finish this too. Like, that was the legitimate goal. So Flossy Fox Shop is hosting a Pixel Dragon Stitch Along right now. I am terribly behind on that. I haven't touched it since the last time that I showed you in my last video in January. The releases look beautiful. I've been watching as they come out. I just haven't worked on it itself. As you saw, I spent almost the entire month of February stitching on one project. But because I pre-ordered the Stitch Along, it came with a bonus pattern. And I wanted to get that bonus done. I was like, it's small. I can go ahead and knock that out this year. So for one of my WIPGO calls, I said, let's just finish that bonus. And that is what got called. So I'm hoping that at this point I've shown you, probably over there, photos of where I was last time. And this is what it looks like completed. I love Flossy Fox Shop anyways. I love the outline colors specifically for this project. I think that that's beautiful. I like these designs. And it's funny because I'm typically drawn to, more full coverage things, not a lot of just random stuff in space kind of things. And I adore this. So this is super cute. This is stitched 2/1 on a 16 count opal Ada that's by Mystic Fabrics in a color called Wisteria. Used all of the called for DMC. I put in 824 stitches in the month of March, which was 69.3%, and I got that done in 5 days. I started it on October 4th of 2023 and finished it March 20th of 2024. For a funny tidbit, this project is also 1,189 stitches, which is the exact same number of stitches in that teeny tiny little stamp. Anyways, so this was a WIPGO call, and I got this one taken care of. Love how it looks. I also love, I mentioned, like I said, this is Wisteria, Opal Ada. I bought that color and fabric for my Stitch Gone Small from last year. And so I had some left over. And I was like, oh, I think this will be perfect for this Stitch Along. And then I had a piece big enough for the Stitch Along. And then I got the bonus and I went, oh my gosh, I have a piece big enough for the bonus too. So use that tiny little scrap. I love it. Very excited. I have to figure out what I'm going to do with it. I kind of want to get a teeny tiny little circle frame because I don't have anything circle framed. Maybe I'll just put it in a pretty hoop. Hang it up on a wall. I don't know. I have to think about it because I want to have it near the other one, and it's going to take me a while to get finished on that other one, I'm sure. I still need to wash it and iron it and stuff. I do wash and iron all of my pieces that aren't on physical objects. And I still might iron a little bit to just poof out those threads. But I like to wait until I'm done so I don't accidentally iron in any dirt or grime because as much as I try, I'm not always the cleanest, and I just wait until the end. Yeah. So, despite February dragging a little bit, March was off to a least enjoyable start. I typically work on big projects. For those of you who haven't watched my WIP parade, most of them are very large. And because most of them are very large, I don't get finishes in very often. So to have 3 finishes in the span of a couple of weeks was pretty exciting. And to just know that I'm making progress on all of the WIPs that I have. So, I'll mention this a little bit in haul. It was my birthday in March. So I got a ton of cross-stitching related presents, and I will show many of them off, like I said, in haul. But one of the things I got, this is a new start. It's another new start, guys, because I don't have enough of those. I had a employee at work give me a birthday present, and it was so nice and so sweet. She got me a set of pins, which are really, really cute, like just, writing utensils. They have cute little cattails on them. I have them over there, but I'm not going to grab them right now. But she also, because she knew I cross-stitched, got me this cute little cross-stitch journal kit. It's technically by Genuine Thread. That's who manufactures it. I don't know. It comes with 4 colors and a giant needle, and then a couple of different patterns that you can pick from, or, design your own completely on your own. So it's literally just a notebook. This is nice little, it's dotted. I love little dotted notebooks with a cross-stitchable cover. So what I did, I am not very design. I don't like to design things. I'm not very good at it, I don't think. I like to cross-stitch because people tell me what to do. It's like paint by number with thread. But I did mash together a couple of the different design elements to kind of make what made sense to me. The box it actually came with, this was not one of the patterns included, but the front of the box said Stitch Please, but it had Please as PLZ. And like the letters were a little bit wonky and everything was off, but I was like, oh my gosh, I like that pun. So I'm designing the words that are going to be here are actually going to say, it's going to say Stitch Please, all spelled out. And I'm kind of pulling colors as I go. My husband's helping me pick out the colors that we think are going to look really cool. I don't always have an eye for color, but he typically does better than I do. I knew I wanted to have this element is kind of repeated at the top, but mirrored. So like the flowers are going to be the same colors up top. We'll have those up here. There's at least one heart in the center. I'm pretty sure I've got like tiny little flowers on the side instead of the hearts again, because I didn't want the hearts to be upside down. It just bothered me. And then, like I said, the word Stitch Please is going to be in the center, and then there's cute little like corner elements. And I still haven't decided. I may fill in all of the background too. I may leave it just this black-ish with the holes still showing, or I may use like, these are ginormous holes. I'm stitching this 6/1, so I use a whole thing of floss. Like it's I'm not pulling strands. It's the whole thing. Technically I'm pulling strands because I almost always loop start when I can, so I'm using 3 strands and loop starting, but uses the whole thing. I may do a lesser number of strands and just do half stitches if I decide to fill in the background. And if I do, even if I do, it's just going to be for like the literal background. Like I wouldn't go inside the hearts. I wouldn't go into the flowers or anything like that. I'll figure that out one day. But this is the progress that I made on that. I put in 117 stitches in one single day. Assuming that I don't fill in the background, that is 18.5%. I did count up how many stitches there was, so I'm tracking that with Notions too. So this is adorable. With a super cute needle minder. Oh, I'm gonna have to put who I got that needle minder from. I know I don't talk about my needle minders very often, and I don't always remember where they're all from, but this one in specific I got as a bonus to a Kickstarter. I did a Kickstarter for her. She was making challenge coins. I'll show them off in another video. I may actually have some to give away as a freebie, as a cute little raffle thing. So she got challenge coins, and I backed her for the challenge coins, and then she turned some of the challenge coins into needle minders, and I have those too. I have those in some of my projects. But as a bonus, she tossed in this really cute one, which I adore. Because, Stitch Please. Duck around and find out, my friend. The other thing that I have to mention, acquisition birthday-wise, because we're already here, is my grandma got me a ton of stitchy things, and I'll show all of them off later, but one of them is right here because it's with this project. She got me laser die cut wood, floss holders. And this one's a raccoon. Isn't he cute? I love him. So I had to show that off. It's real cool. My husband may go through and sand out some of these holes a little bit better. I think that some of the edges are still a little sharp, but he's so cute. Anyways, so that was my work on my Stitch Please journal, is what I'm calling it right now. I worked on 2 more whips, so I'll go ahead and grab those. The next one that I worked on was the Over the Garden Wall project. This is my neglected February whip go. So I'll go ahead, put up photos of what the finished project is supposed to look like, along with where I was last time it was out. This is a piece, unfortunately, by an unknown designer. I do not remember who it was, way back before I started tracking any of that information. And it's not something that I can look up either. I did not buy it on Etsy. I bought it from their website. It's not on any of the digital patterns. I bought a lot of digital patterns from that person. I'm pretty sure that they were shutting down their website because of licensing issues, or because they were worried about licensing issues. I don't know that anybody was actually doing anything with them. Anyways, during the month of March, I decided to make up for the February Whip Go poll that I had not completed on this. The Whip Go poll was finish a color or put in at least 300 stitches. I do not remember if I finished a color, but I did put in 300 stitches. So here's where I am now. This is, as I mentioned, unknown designer, stitched on a 32 count opalescent Lugana in the colorway Nebula by Mystic Fabrics. The opalescent shows up so well on this piece. You can see all of the, green, teal, little bits of light in there, which is so fun. I stitched this 2/2 with all of the called for DMC. Most of the holes at the bottom, definitely the boys, some of the, I think all of the branches and stuff on the opposite side of the screen of my fingers right now. So all the ones over there and some of the remaining ones over here, I still need to finish the purple down here, are going to be filled in with black, as you saw on the little thing. So same thing. I may end up doing that black 3/2 instead of 2/2, just to make sure I get the coverage that I want. But I'm saving the black till last on this. I put in the 300 stitches, like I said, for my Whip Go call. I got 309 stitches, got it done all in one day, which brought my total up to 622 stitches for the year, or 7.9% for the year. And brought my total to just shy of 2,400. I'm at 2,394 stitches for 30.4% complete on the full project and all of the time that I've been working on it. I do really like this piece. Again, I play the color wars with this. It's really, really dark fabric. It's beautiful but hard to see, especially because it's 32 count. But I love it every time I pull it out. It makes me smile. Makes me think of my best friend, who I'm making it for. All of the good things. And if I ever get to the point, I'll get there someday, that it's just the black, the fill-in is going to be so easy. Except for the loops of the words that come out past the edge of this piece. And then I'm going to have like thousands of yards of this fabric left because it's a pretty small piece, and I gave myself a ridiculous amount of margin because I didn't know how I wanted to finish it, and I also wanted to make sure that I did it right. Most of the time I don't give myself this much margin, but because it's a gift, it was very important that I did it right. So yeah, finally finished that February Whip Go call. It's beautiful. Love it. Can't wait to work on it again. One last project that I worked on. Oh yes, Whip Go. Whip Go. The last project that I worked on in the month of March was my actual March Whip Go call. That was the heroes quote that is charted by Taylor and Cromwell. Again, as I said, love them dearly. Charted by Taylor and Cromwell. It is a quote by one of my favorite authors, Tamara Pierce, which only recently I realized I've been saying her name wrong the entire time because it's not spelled like Tamara. And I never, read about how that's how it's supposed to be said. Anywho, so it's a quote by one of my favorite authors. It's not even from any of her novels. It's just a quote she's personally said. So it's not just children who need heroes. You'll have seen that because I'll have popped up what the final project is supposed to look like. I love this project. I love the designers. I love the quote. It's a really great fun time. My whip go goal was just to put in 200 stitches, or to finish two motifs, I think, or 2 words. I don't know. I had lots of options because this is words, but the words are big or small, and then the motifs are big or small, and I kind of was like, do some stuff, make some progress. And make progress I did, boy did I make progress. I, in the month of March, put in a total of 1,015 stitches on this project. So here is where I am. This is stitched on a beautiful linen. It is a 32 count Belfast linen by Fiber on a Whim in the colorway Cypress. I bought it at StitchCon last year specifically for this piece. This piece came in a subscription box by Taylor and Cromwell that was specifically themed about Tamara Pierce. It was a kit, actually, so they gave me all of the flosses. They're just DMCs. They gave me fabric, but it was just white Aida, and I just knew I wanted it on something a little bit different because I just adore it so much. So I put in 1,015 stitches on this piece. Snafu, I put in a whole bunch and then was trying to connect my words, and they were not connecting. Actually, they were connecting. They were touching too close. And I was like, oh, where's the mistake? And I found out that the mistake was, this in. I had this in 2 stitches that direction. Which, you'd look at this and go, well, that surely isn't that big of a deal. Surely it won't be that big of a problem. Except all of these big letters that spell out children are 1 stitch away from each other. They're that close. And it looks beautiful, and I don't really want to schmoosh it. I mean, I'm here for fudging. I'm not here that, you have to frog every mistake, but I just couldn't see a way to successfully fudge that easily. And then you're like, well, just take out the end and move the end. That's great, except, and I'll pop up a photo. This is all of the progress that I did have. So not only did I have the end, I had that entire cat motif completely finished. That entire cat motif lines up so beautifully with the end that I didn't really want the end to be touching the cat, plus the letters at the bottom would have been touching the cat if I left the cat where it was. So, alas, I decided to frog, and I frogged 391 stitches out of this project. I cried some tears while I did it. Not really, but metaphorically, absolutely. It was a rough day. It's a rough day. And this project kind of got put in timeout because of it, but I was using it for a fandom stitching challenge, and I had to get 1,000 stitches on it for that challenge before the month of March ended. And as you know, it is the 31st, so I had to pull it out of timeout last night to meet that goal. So the bright side is that they do allow me to count the stitches that I stitched and then frogged. I mean, I don't count the frogging, but even though I took them away, they allow me to count the progress. So a total of 1,000 stitches, although, less when I had to take them all out. That project is now, for the year of 2024, I'm at 43.4% that I did 8 days of stitching on. The total project, I have 2,125 stitches, which is 74.9%. One would think that when I was writing this down that perhaps I would have mentioned how many stitches total it is. I keep trying to decide whether I want to list that or not, and I don't know. The total stitches on this is 2,837 stitches. So just like 700-ish left. 712 according to Notions. Except, extra caveat here, it's beautiful. I love it. It's coming along great, even though I had to tear out a ton of stuff. As I mentioned, that's a quote by one of my favorite authors. I really wanted to have the quote attributed on that piece. The design does not have the author's name listed. I'm considering doing it over one in the bottom corner underneath the cat, but I really wanted it to be in the same font and font color that like all of those smaller words are in. The like who, it's not just, I think who need, like all of that. I wanted it to be in that font, and I've got plenty of the colors / it's DMC. I can color match if I need to, but I don't have the full alphabet for this piece. I just have the letters that are there, and most of the letters of the author's name are not in that are not in the letters that I have. And I could like fudge it and try to make it close and like guess. But I said, you know what? I really like these people. I really like these designers. They've been exceptionally approachable, very, very nice. I'm just gonna be a grown-up and email them and say, hi, this is what I'd really like to do, and if you'd be willing to do that, I'd really, really like that. And they emailed me back like within 48 hours and said, yeah, absolutely, here it is. I've put it where I think that it should go, but put it wherever you want to. And just sent me back an entire copy of the pattern with the name, fully charted in there for me. So another huge shout out to Taylor and Cromwell, because they're fantastic. Wonderful, wonderful human beings. Anyway, that is all of the whips that I've worked on since the last time that I filmed on January 21st. Thank you for bearing with me. I'll definitely chat about some other stuff here coming up, but thank you for everybody who decided to watch along, for everybody who came back. Hopefully it won't be quite so long until you see me again. I am going to pop for just a second and talk about my crochet projects and progress before I jump into my plans, because it really is just the one thing. Oh, wrong way. It's that thing right there, that blanket. I will go ahead and pop up a photo while I'm chatting just a tiny bit. I took it up to my bedroom and laid it out on the bed to try to get a good photo of where it looks right now. I'm pretty sure I'm at row 61. I have fully recharted it using Stitch Fiddle, I think. One of the online ones, so that way they could print out the instructions for me so I start decreasing correctly. I have the full original chart. I just made a smaller section of it because I used bigger yarn, and as you can see on my king size bed, it's ginormous already, and I'm not even halfway. So, I need to work on that again, but since you saw it last, it is actually just the tiniest bit bigger. Yeah, that's crochet. Plans. Hopes, dreams, as Marjorie likes to say, which I really like that because, don't feel guilty if you don't meet your plans, especially because this is a hobby. It's a hobby. It's something we enjoy to do. We're here together as a community. But hopes, dreams, plans. Hopefully, Floss Tube, again, in about a month, give or take. It'd be nice to actually have one recorded and put out sometime in the month of April. We'll see. I've got a lot of stuff coming up. A lot of, plans over the weekends, and I want to actually do some stitching too. But here's hoping a recording episode sometime in April. Probably trying to keep up with fandom stitching. I had a really, strong stitchy start in January, both personally and in fandom stitching. February, as you know, not my favorite time. But I was doing like the monthly goals, and things actually feel pretty okay because of the monthly, and I met my first yearly goal over the last 2 months. So probably something fandom stitching related. I just have to not feel guilty or burn myself out trying to do too much there. And then just April Whip Go. See, I told you I'd loop back around. April Whip Go, as I mentioned, is my 2 projects. I am going to be pulling back out. Ooh. Where is it? Oh. There we go. We'll be pulling back out Father Christmas. And I am going to pop it back on this board just so I can talk about what my goal is. My goal for April is to finish the entire toe motif. So I've got most of this project done at this point. I mean, like, it doesn't feel that way because there's still a lot of stitching left, but like most of the design is actually complete. So I'm going to be finishing up this toe motif. So it's mostly just this scroll work. You would think that it would be one color, but of course it's not. Most of the lettering I think is actually done. The rest of it gets done with back stitching. Although I have to make sure that there's not some weird like brown in there. And then it's just a couple different colors for the scroll work. And if I'm feeling ambitious, I'll probably try to finish like these scrolls too. Even though when I said toe motif, I mostly just meant this scroll section, but like this too would be useful because then the only stuff that's left, I have all of the red. I have the red outline. On this side, I still actually have the dark red outline. And then I think, because of all of the work at the top that I've already done, beyond backstitching, the only thing that I'll have left, if I finish this toe motif correctly, is the dark red that comes along this scroll work here the whole way down to finish the rest of this outline, and then the actual red outline, which you can see I've started up here, and like I brought in a little bit over here, but the problem is it's so much fill-in, and I'm treating this very counted cross-stitch wise, and the pattern is kind of just like, and then you do the red until you hit the edges. I was like, well, I don't know where the edges are because I haven't done any of the other parts. So once I finish out those pieces, it will literally just be fill-in with that beautiful, beautiful red to finish out the rest of all of this stuff. And I figured it'd be way easier if I finished everything else first. So that's the goal for April. Try to get that taken care of. I always love those when I get them out. It's always just a bear kind of getting them out, getting them started, figuring out what to work on, which is why WhipGo has been useful for that piece at least, to be like, here's what you should work on. And then because of fandom stitching, I do count my stitches even on my paper charts. And I like to track it. I put it into Notion, even though I don't know how many stitches there are total. I have not done that. And so counting with the paper makes it's a little bit difficult. But beyond that, that's the first April WhipGo call. I do not remember which number is which. I could pull up my board and tell you, but it's fine. The other April WhipGo call that I have is another Taylor and Cromwell pattern. Is the Tamara Pierce bookshelf. One of their first stitch-alongs was actually this Tamara Pierce bookshelf. Their style has changed a little bit since they've started these because they realized that there were enough stitchers who didn't mind doing more advanced stitches. So they've become actually a little bit more technically complicated, but beautiful nonetheless. I personally have another one of their bookshelf pieces in my whips. If you haven't seen my whip parade, I have one for the series Outlander. I know that they made another stitch along that was Neil Gaiman, but they like this like bookshelf kind of thing, which is really cool. So here is where I am on that. I just wanted a little refresher, especially if you didn't want to go like watch my whip parade, to say, hey, here's where I'm at. My goal for WhipGo in April on this is 500 stitches. So there's some pretty big goals this month. So 500 stitches, or I said 2 full motifs. And like it's hard because like motifs are so variable, right? Like this string bracelet here, that's a motif. But so is this giant freaking cat. And all of the books I would consider motif. The dice, I would probably say the set of dice needs to be completed. There's a feather that's whichever way I want to go, right here. I was stitching this in release order. That's why the entire first release is completed. And I started on the second release. And then I was getting tired, in part because at the time that I was working on this, I had actually never read the series that this entire section is about. So like the references were just the tiniest bit over my head. And I was just kind of like, like the quotes, I didn't know the quotes, stuff. I have since actually read all of the books that are in that section. which was cool. Well, listened to. I'm pretty sure that I actually did the audiobook versions of all of them, which was also cool because I'm typically picky about audiobooks and I don't always listen to them. So that was a fun experience. Anyhoozle. So that's nice because I actually get those references now. But I was also specifically working on challenges. It may have been Phantom Stitching Challenge. It may have been something. It may have been before I joined Phantom Stitching. I was in a like Disney like theme park one that was like personal individual challenges, but I may have been doing one like that. So I know I moved down there for like color. Like all of the grays that were down there, I went down there for color. But yeah. So that's my April WIPGO goal is going to be to get at least 500 stitches and or 2 full motifs and or whatever else I want to work on it kind of thing. Starting as early as tomorrow, apparently. I figure out I'll probably be taking this one because it's easier to take to work. Not that I stitch at work most of the time, but I like to have one just in case. I currently have 13,309 stitches on this project, so I'm at 39.1% complete. There's a total of 34,056 stitches in it, and the goal is to get another 500 on that. So we'll see. I mentioned that that's a Tamara Pierce stitch along by Taylor and Cromwell. I'm stitching that on a 32 count Lugana called Perfect Storm, made by the designer. It was originally Maples Minders and More, which is where I bought it from. She's since rebranded and it's called Siren Song Fabrics. I'm pretty sure she's just established on Facebook. Highly recommend though. Fantastic service, beautiful. She was wonderful. So those are the plans, hopes, dreams. For those of you who have stuck around this long, that's beautiful, wonderful. Thank you so much. I'm going to take a quick second to go through haul, and then I'll do my life update for anybody who wants to hear about things that have been happening in my life. As you already saw, I got super cute thread cards. You saw my adorable raccoon. I also have the longest dog, corgi, I guess. I'm used to long dogs being wiener dogs, but that face is definitely not a wiener dog face. And also a whale. Cute. Love it. Adorable. Grandma also got me a set of cute little like wooden bookmarky things. I love books. I may do these more like ornaments rather than actual bookmarks because I don't know that I'd ever want to put this thick of a thing in a book. But anyways. Cute, love it. Still need to get some of the lasered things got stuck, so I need to pop them out with a needle. My mother got me a neck light. My husband got me a neck light for Christmas. My mom got me a slightly nicer one for my birthday, and I'm very excited because A, now I have two, and B, now I have two. So I'll be able to stitch on some of those darker fabrics and the awkward positions on the couch that I like to stitch on without having to be super close to my really tall light. Grandma, with direction from Mom and like my general wish list, got me Adam Hart Floss Drop bobbins. These are the heart bobbins, obviously, as you can see, they're heart. She got me a good old pile of the clear acrylic. I've gone through almost the entire set that she got me. I don't remember whether it was 75 or just 50, but I have gone through almost this entire set. And then some really pretty purple ones. They're shiny on the one side, and then they're really sparkly on the other. Oh yeah, there we go. That's nice. Beautiful, lovely. Anybody who doesn't know about Adam Hart should check out her acrylic stuff. And anybody who doesn't know, the pretty ones are more expensive, as one would expect. So, smaller quantity of those. One day I hope to have my entire stash on acrylic, but it takes a while to get there. So, I started converting some of my stash to that, which is cool. Haul. The fabric that I showed you for the board game Stitch Along, I got in since the last time we chatted. The Stitch Please notebook. Got as a birthday gift. That was fantastic. And my wonderful friend Kitty, who I work with, Kitty, got me the coolest little needle minder. She just got me, I'm gonna put it on my board if it doesn't decide to focus. Come on, camera. Do your job. My hand is not magnetic, and I cannot. I'm a nerd. This is supernatural for those who can't tell because of the sad blurriness. She got me this needle minder. We cross stitch. We talk about cross stitch. She is working on. These are pretty strong magnets, I will have to say, because this board is very, very thick, and it's not falling down, which I appreciate. So yeah, Dean, Sam, Cass, Crowley, having a cool time. It'll definitely go in one of my supernatural projects, because I've got one that I haven't even started, and it can go on that one for sure. So, that was a lovely, thoughtful gift. I think she likes to get people things when she thinks of them, which is really nice. So, she got me that. She gave it to me just yesterday. So, shout out to her, because she's awesome. And that actually kind of rolls really well right into life stuff. I want to do a vague recap of my stitching months, along with the fun life things that happened during those times. So since I never got to recap January, we'll start there. Thanks to the lovely Notions app, as I mentioned, with the fantastic template from Stitchy Nati. I've got some fun statistics to run through. In the month of January, I only had 6 days that I didn't stitch, which is absolutely unheard of for me. That was really cool. I'm definitely not one of those, like, stitch every day of the year kind of things, because some days you come home and you were at work for over 12 hours, and then you have to sleep and turn around and go back to work again. So I had only 6 days with no stitching. I worked on a total of 11 projects. And I got in a total of 6,765 stitches that month, which was really cool. Plus, I hit both of my Whip Go goals during that month. In addition to all of the fun stitchy things that happened, life-wise, my dear husband over there on the couch did lose his job at the end of January, so we're figuring out this whole one income / unemployment management of our finances. He's trying to find something that speaks more to him, which is completely understanding. He has been wonderful and fantastic, supported me throughout the entire time that I was in vet school, and helped contribute to our joint finances when we were still in undergrad before we got married. He took a job that he didn't want in retail to help support me through vet school, and then when we relocated up here to Minnesota, kept said job in retail, doing things he didn't like, just to make sure that we had money, to pay our mortgage, while I figured out how being an adult / being a, working employee in this lovely thing we call capitalism / being an actual doctor, worked out. So, he's figuring out what he wants to do, which is nice, but we're waiting for some things to hopefully fall our way in the meantime. February, as I mentioned, not a good stitching month. I only worked on stitching 9 days total for that entire 29-day month. And almost every single one of those days was a day that I had off. It was a Wednesday, which is my typical day off during the week, or sometime over the weekend. Those were the only times I had energy or time to actually get any stitching done. I know I was at work all the time. I picked up one of those Wednesdays at least to be working while I had colleagues who were out of town. I had weeks that I had over 100 hours, like my 2-week pay period where I track my hours were well over 100 hours. So I was at work all the time and had no free time. And I worked on a whopping total of 2 projects, that Grim Grinning Ghosts and that little pumpkin frog. But I did get 1,249 stitches, and I completed that one Whip Go goal, which was related to that Grim Grinning Ghosts project. Now March, and it's mostly complete. I mean, I might stitch later today, but beyond later today, these stats are pretty accurate. I had a total of 14 stitchy days, not including today, so if I pull something out which I probably won't, but if I do, it may be 15. I got 3 finishes. You got to see all my tiny little finishes. 6 total projects and a sum of 2,290 stitches, but those are not counting, I'm pretty sure, the ones that I had to frog. So I had another 391 that I frogged, so we were close to 2,500 stitches. Oh, I'm sorry, I did the math. Past me did the math. 2,681 is what that was. And I got 3 WIPCO goals finished. I got both of the ones in March, plus my one from February that I fell behind on. So that was March. Stitchy-wise, life-wise, there hasn't been a lot going on. Work slowed down, but I've been working. We've been doing household stuff. Michael's been job hunting, so it's just been a lot of keep on keeping on. I have fun things planned for April and May. My mom and I are meeting up for a girls' weekend in Illinois, in northwestern Illinois, because I'm up in the Twin City area of Minnesota and she's from Southwest Ohio. I was born and raised there, so we're kind of meeting in the middle, Northwest Illinois, for just a girls' weekend. We're both going to take our stitching. We're going to go check out a Frank Lloyd Wright house, I think, tour a garden, just hang out, do some girl things. She's sad that I moved so far away, but she supports that I'm an independent person who wanted to be up here, so we try to figure that out. So I've got that to look forward to in early May. I have StitchCon Weekend B coming up in mid-June, so I'm going to be going to that as well. Meeting up with some of my table mates from last year for sure. I know at least one of them is coming and bringing a new friend. I'm pretty sure that the other friend that she went to Weekend B with last year is coming as well. I just haven't asked to confirm. We're still crossing our fingers that our other returning member can come back. I know at least one of my table mates will not be coming at all. She didn't register this year. And the other one is Tasha over at Britches Get Stitches, who is eagerly awaiting to possibly get off the wait list. So she just talked about it in her most recent video. And I'm still crossing my fingers for her because I sure do miss her. And I will miss her for sure. But she lives down that way and we're going to meet up with her regardless. The other thing is I've just got some fun hangouts that are coming up this week. I'm meeting up with a friend, Kitty, my friend, is going to come hang out with me later this week. We're going to stitch some, maybe play some board games. I'm meeting up with Hannah, who is the MN Stitcher on YouTube over here on FlossTube. I'm meeting up with her later this week as well. We're going to hang out and do some gaming. We like to meet up every once in a while when we have free time. I work a lot. She's got a tiny child, so, we meet up when we can. And then I have a baby shower that I'm going to this weekend for a colleague at work. So I have cute things that I need to wrap. So those are all my life updates. I know I've said it before and I'll say it again, but I promise this is the last time. For those of you who stuck around this long, thank you so much. For everybody who was a returning viewer, it was fantastic to see you again. I'm happy to reply to comments. You can always email me if you want, follow me on Instagram, reach out other ways. I'm super happy to chat about anything, that we want to chat about. And to anybody who's new, I hope that you enjoyed this. And if you liked it well enough, feel free to subscribe. I will try to record more frequently. But it was fantastic getting the opportunity to sit down and do this again, and make some more content to get out there and just say hi to all the people that I keep watching. I am behind on watching FlossTube. For anybody who knows that I subscribe to them, I am slowly making my way. I think I'm probably close to like 38 hours now that I'm behind, give or take. I just was out of it. February, I didn't have the stitchy bug very much. I was so out of it and I didn't have time to watch things either, but I'm making my way back now. We're figuring it out. So, maybe you'll see me in your comments. At minimum, I'll be leaving likes behind. Until next time, thanks so much.